there YouTube, this is Vargas XX78 with an experiment, sort of. This is me doing a Vargas reviews. I wanted to do a video on some of the movies that I've watched, but I haven't been able to actually film or review on. So I'm trying to go the route of maybe a podcast, see how that works out. Like I mentioned in my previous videos, I'm trying to try new stuff, see what I can do to spice up the channel, and I have a few ideas on my head, but because of work and other stuff, I haven't been able to actually go ahead and try them out. But this is one of the experiments that I was thinking, maybe doing this as an audio podcast, and see if this works out better than filming myself talking about stuff. So let's see how this works out. I guess I'll know if based on the comments or the reviews or the views that I get on this one. But like I said, this is a Vargas review, so I just wanted to talk about a couple of movies that I've seen in the last weeks and months since I did a last Vargas review. Just like I said, haven't been able to actually record myself talk about these because of stuff in life, and so yeah, first movie that I went to see with my girlfriend and a couple of friends was Captain America: The Winter Soldier. The movie actually came out a week before in Mexico, before it actually released in US, so I was thinking of doing a video, but I didn't want to spoil the movie for anyone, so I kind of didn't, and then stuff happened, so I didn't make a video review of Captain America: The Winter Soldier. So very quickly, I just wanted to say that this movie, the trailers made it look really cool, and all the ads said that this one was going to be a game changer, and it, for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it really is a game changer, because they basically get rid of S.H.I.E.L.D. I mean, I don't think there's anyone that hasn't seen the movie by now, or anyone that watches Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and doesn't know about this, but in the movie, Hydra infiltrated S.H.I.E.L.D. a long time ago, and it was really corrupt, and Hydra had their hands on everything. So Captain America, Nick Fury, and the Black Widow, I'm sorry, take down S.H.I.E.L.D. and by default take down Hydra. So there's no S.H.I.E.L.D. in the Marvel the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So that's a big game changer right there, because as the following movies follow through, how's the Marvel Universe going to function really without a S.H.I.E.L.D. To bring back the heroes and so on? Someone else is going to have to figure out something to unite the heroes, or bring some sort of protection against the big evil threats that are going to come down the line. And they don't 100% take down Hydra. They kind of take down the the sort of public image of Hydra. There's still a faction of Hydra working in secret with Loki's Mind Stick, which I read somewhere that that's now going to be the mind gem of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And at the end of Captain America, they reveal that they're doing experiments to basically bring into life mutants, but they can't use the word mutants because of the legal rights that Fox has. So they're calling them miracles. So yeah, they showcase Quicksilver and the Scarlet Witch at the end of that one, and yeah, big movie. It's full of action, a lot of really cool action scenes, a lot of really cool fighting scenes, shooting scenes. This is a very complete movie. Chris Evans comes into his own as Captain America. You finally feel the weight of the character on him. Scarlett Johansson does a great job as Black Widow. Samuel L. Jackson does a really good job at Nick Fury. They actually throw you a curveball the moment that you think Nick Fury got killed, and even though he comes back later in the movie, but that was a big curveball, and I guess it might have been an indication that S.H.I.E.L.D. is in trouble with that. But a really good movie. So far, it's the best Marvel Cinematic Universe movie that's come out. I liked it better than Thor and Iron Man. Definitely a really big game changer. The effects of this whole thing are felt in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., like I said, and in Marvel movies you're not gonna feel the effect that much because the next big movie that's gonna come out is Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm really excited about that one because that's going to delve more into the cosmic aspect of Marvel, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and I'm hoping that they'll delve more into Thanos and the space race that appeared in the Avengers. So looking forward to that one. But Captain America, my girlfriend also really enjoyed it, and the friends that we went with to see the movie also enjoyed it. A lot of people have seen it that I know and talked to also said that it was a really good movie. So yeah, definitely can recommend Captain America: The Winter Soldier. After that, the next movie that we went to see is The Amazing Spider-Man 2. The trailer of this movie looked really cool. I still think that Andrew Garfield is a really good Spider-Man. He's funny, he's quirky, he does a lot of one-liners. His Peter Parker is okay. I prefer him more as Spider-Man. He's a really good Spider-Man. Emma Stone returns as Gwen Stacy, and she's still by far the best supporting character in the Spider-Man. I mean, compared to Mary Jane, Emma Stone's Gwen Stacy is by far a lot more useful in this movie. As like in the previous one, she actually helped Peter out, and she's an active character, which Mary Jane was not. That's something that I really respect about this movie. That Mary Jane really wasn't that useful, but Gwen Stacy has the smarts and the attitude to actually help out Peter against the threats that come out in this movie. And the movie has two main bad guys. Even though one doesn't, well, both of them don't start out as bad guys. Max Dillon, the guy that turns into Electro, played by Jamie Foxx, doesn't start out as a villain. He's a really weird guy that Spider-Man helps out, and then he gets obsessed with Spider-Man. He works at Oscorp, so he's involved in a genetic electrical accident that turns him into Electro, and once he has his powers, he goes evil. But that, a lot of people complain about that, but really, that is a common thing, at least in other movies, where the weird, awkward, loser type guy suddenly gets powers and he goes full-blown supervillain. That's not rare in movies or in comic books, so I don't know why people have a big complaint about that. I liked Electro in this movie. His effects looked visually impressive, and the effect that they gave him with him glowing blue, electric blue, I thought that was pretty cool. And the way that they showcased again his powers, everything that he can do, and throw the lightning bolts that would come out of him. And there comes a point in the movie where he learns how to convert himself into energy and go into power outlets and then come back and reform himself, kind of like Dr. Manhattan in Watchmen. I thought that was really interesting. At the end, he basically just turns into the muscle for Harry Osborn, who's the other villain, who again doesn't start out as a villain. He used to be Peter Parker's childhood friend, but he develops a disease that Norman Osborn had, and he gets desperate because he doesn't want to die. So he goes after Spider-Man because he wants some of his blood to run tests on it and see if he can cure himself. And then he does a bunch of other stuff that basically at the end turn him into the Green Goblin. And again, Spider-Man 2, like Captain America, has been out for a while, so I don't think anyone hasn't seen it, which will lead me to my one big complaint. As a comic book reader, I know the story and the eventual fate of Gwen Stacy, that she's killed by the Green Goblin. Well, it's a combination of the Green Goblin and Spider-Man himself. But I was really hoping that in this one, because they announced it was going to be 3 movies, that they would keep Gwen Stacy at least until the third one. Then if at the third one they kill her off, that would have made me a little bit happier because we could still have Gwen Stacy stick around for 3 movies. But in this one, again, it's a combination of the Green Goblin that takes her away to a clock tower and then throws her off, and Spider-Man himself. She dies in this movie. She dies in the third movie, and that was really depressing and disappointing for me because I really, really hoped that they would keep her around at least until again the third movie. I would have loved to have Gwen Stacy stick around until the third movie, but they kill her off in this one, and it's a very, very. A lot of people complain about it. I've heard people complain about it for different reasons. People complain about it because they kill off basically a good supporting character, and the way they do it is really, really messed up because you see her fall down, and then she kind of like hits the ground, and Spider-Man webs her up, and I don't know. I only saw it once, and I would like to see it again, but it looks like she falls to the ground, and then Spider-Man grabs her with his webbing, and then she kind of like bounces off the ground, and that it's a very, very hard scene for me to look at again because you get to know Gwen Stacy, and again she's a million times better than Mary Jane in the original trilogy, so that was hard to watch. So a lot of people complain about them killing off Gwen Stacy. Others complain about that it's too cheesy because when Spider-Man's throwing his web, a hand kind of forms, and there's this slow-mo shot of Gwen Stacy falling down, and that's kind of, a lot of people complain that it's too cheesy. But all in all, I really liked The Amazing Spider-Man 2. I liked the flow of it. I liked the special effects of it. Now that Gwen Stacy's dead, I don't know if I would be interested in seeing a third one. If they introduce Mary Jane and she's interesting, at least more interesting than in the original trilogy, I'd be okay with that. But they already announced that they're going to do a Sinister Six movie, which I don't know how that's going to work out. But they already said that they're going to do a third Spider-Man. So yeah, Amazing Spider-Man, not as good as Captain America, but not as bad as a lot of people might say on the interwebs. It's still a very entertaining movie, and again, I really liked it, and other than the Gwen Stacy thing, I'd still recommend that movie. Then the other movie we went to see, the third movie that we've seen is Godzilla, and I was super hyped about this one because I grew up watching Godzilla. Back when I was a kid, there was this channel that they would usually pass those really cheesy, badly dubbed Kung Fu movies and Godzilla movies. And every once in a while they would pass a Godzilla movie, and I would really like both of them. That's why as a grown-up I can sit down and watch a really cheesy, bad Kung Fu movie because that's what I grew up with. So, and I've loved the character of Godzilla. Anytime that they pass, I see them passing a Godzilla movie, I will watch it. It's one of the reasons why I went to watch the '98 movie, and even though that movie wasn't a Godzilla movie, it's not a bad monster flick, but it has no reason to be called Godzilla. I went to watch it because of my love for the King of the Monsters, so I was super hyped about this one, and for the most part it didn't disappoint. The scenes that had Godzilla were freaking amazing. By far, I cannot believe how amazing the Godzilla scenes are. I literally squealed when again, the movie's been out for a while, so I'm just gonna spoil this for you guys. There's a scene where Godzilla's fighting one of the Mutos, and his tail starts glowing, and then it goes up his spine, and then finally he does his atomic breath. And I literally, in the movie, I was like squealing for excitement that did that, because that was one of my complaints in the '98 version, that he didn't have his atomic breath. And that scene was freaking amazing. Really, really cool seeing that that happen. And then when he's fighting the two monsters, because he fights two monsters, the flying one that I guess is like a homage to Rodan, and then a giant walking one that kind of, a lot of people have mentioned it, and it's true. It looks like the Cloverfield monster with a different face. That's a main complaint that read online that the monsters, the two Mutos, the flying one and the ground one, aren't very original. They really do look like the Cloverfield monsters, and then the other one with wings. But for what they were, I wasn't bothered with the design of the two monsters. Godzilla looked cool. At first, I had issues with his face. His face looked smaller than the rest of his body. His body looked bigger than his head. But once the movie got around, there were shots that kind of looked like it was fixed, and then other shots where you can notice it. The acting by the humans was good. By far, the guy that played Malcolm's dad is in this, and he did a really good job. He was the best actor in this movie. Him and Ken Watanabe, the guy that plays the Japanese scientist, they really brought their A game, I think, into this movie. Kick-Ass, the guy that did Kick-Ass, and one of the Olsen sisters, they were okay, but they didn't stand out to me. I was more interested in Godzilla, and I was really blown away by the acting abilities of Ken Watanabe and Malcolm's dad. I forget his name, so I apologize for that. But yeah, my only big complaint with the movie, and it's a complaint that a lot of other people have had, is that there's not enough Godzilla. I can understand them trying to limit Godzilla for budget reasons, or for the reason to, you want to keep people hyped. It's the Jaws explanation that the less you see is more. But honestly, my big complaint with the Godzilla movies is that they teased the fights so much. There's the first scene that I remember where they're in the airport and Godzilla appears. The first time you see Godzilla, and he's staring down the monster, and the monster turns back to look at Godzilla, and they cut from that. I can sort of understand why they did that, to hype up the final battle, but they could have shown at least 3 to 4 minutes of a fight and then have the monster run away. I would have been okay with that. Then the same thing happens again. Godzilla meets up with one of the monsters, and they cut to the humans, and then it happens another time. My girlfriend literally saw me getting frustrated when that happened the last time before the big fight. I was like, I want to see Godzilla fight, even if it's for just 2 minutes. I want to see him do something with against these monsters. But at the end, where he faces off against both of them at the same time, and that's when he is fighting against them, and he throws his atomic breath, and he brings the beat down on both of the monsters. I was excited with the ending, so I guess it worked in the sense that the payoff worked. You were so frustrated with not seeing Godzilla fight that by the time that he did, it was so welcome and so well done. I wrote online that the best part of the movie was the Godzilla moments. The human elements, for the most part, didn't really intrigue me. I mean, that's okay, because that's basically the premise for the Godzilla movies. You don't see Godzilla that much. It's more about the humans. But I don't know. Ever since Transformers, I want to see more of the titular character. I want to see more of the Transformers. I don't want to see the humans that much. I want to see interactions and good acting by the humans that interact with the main characters, but I don't want to see them for most of the movie and only see the Transformers for a little bit, which is what I felt happened with this one. It was more about the humans, too much about the humans, and they didn't have enough Godzilla. Again, I highly recommend the movie. Thankfully, it made a ton of money, which they've already greenlit the sequel, so there's going to be a second Godzilla movie. I'm hoping they can balance the human element, which is needed in these type of movies, with the Godzilla element. I want a good balance, and if they can pull that off, the sequel is going to be freaking amazing. The best example I can give is Pacific Rim. Pacific Rim, I think, had a good balance of human element and robots versus monsters. Pacific Rim really raised the bar, and I think it's thanks to Pacific Rim that we have a Godzilla movie that's as good as it is, and not another 98 fiasco. So definitely recommend Godzilla. Keep in mind that you don't see Godzilla as much as you would hope, but still, the Godzilla moments make up for it, and the acting by Ken Watanabe and Breaking Bad guy, who's honestly, his name escaped me, and I'm really sorry about that, because he's great in this movie. He is freaking amazing in this movie, and yeah, I would definitely recommend Godzilla, and I hope it makes a lot more money, so they know that on the sequel they need a little bit more Godzilla. I'm not saying make a two-hour movie just with Godzilla, but have Godzilla a little bit more in the movie. So yeah, that was the third movie that we went to see, and the last movie that we went to see, we just went to see it a couple. Actually, yesterday we just saw that movie. No, actually, wasn't yesterday. It was on Friday. We went to see it on Friday, and it's Sunday today. So the last movie we went to see was X-Men: Days of Future Past. Another movie that I was super hyped. I even made a reaction video on the trailer the moment I saw it. That should tell you how hyped I was about this one, because they had, the premise is that after X3 and the Wolverine, the world kind of went to hell because the Sentinels took over. But it's not these giant purple robots that you would see in the cartoons or in the comic books. They're kind of like the Nimrod model, fused with Mystique's like scales, and they explain that actually, because these things can adapt. They're kind of like they kind of look like the Phalanx. That's what they look like. That's what I was trying to think of when I was in the movie. They look like the Phalanx. The Phalanx were these techno-organic aliens that could adapt to mutant powers, and they could shapeshift, and that's what happens in Days of Future Past in this movie. They build Sentinels that can adapt to mutant powers, and so they go after the mutants to the point of extinction. But what they do then is that they also target humans that have the potential to pass along the X gene to a son or a daughter, that they'll give birth to an X gene mutant. So they're also thrown into concentration camps in the future. So the future is very freaking bleak. But the X-Men, through a very bizarre new power that Kitty Pryde has, because Kitty Pryde now has the ability to send people back in time, a week to a month tops. That's the best she can do without the person that she sends back their mind going to crap. So they decide that they're going to go back to when the Sentinels were first a threat. And it'll start with Mystique. Mystique actually finds out that Bolivar Trask, the creator of the Sentinel program, kills off a great chunk of the characters from X-Men First Class. And she goes off again for revenge, and she kills off Bolivar Trask, which gets his Sentinel program authorized. So the X-Men figure out that the way to prevent the Sentinels from coming to power is to stop Mystique. So the only one that can make the jump is Wolverine, because his healing factor will keep his mind intact. So they send Wolverine to the past in the 70s to his younger body, and he takes it upon himself to bring together Professor Xavier, Magneto, the Beast also tags along to try to change history, to track down Mystique and try to stop her. And they sort of do, but that kind of dominoes into something worse, because then Magneto's like, well, I'm not going to let the future of the mutant race be at jeopardy. I'm going to kill Mystique. And so now it's a bigger problem, because now you got Mystique still running around trying to finish off Bolivar Trask. You got Magneto going after Mystique and doing his own Magneto stuff. And you got Wolverine, Xavier, and the Beast trying to manage all this fallout. While in the future, you have the X-Men, because they have to keep Wolverine, the link between Wolverine and his body, intact. So you have the future X-Men fighting against these Phalanx Sentinels. Because if they kill Kitty Pryde and Wolverine, then Wolverine will lose his link and everything will go to crap. So it's a very, very suspenseful and action movie. My favorite X-Men movies were X-Men 2, Mutants United, and First Class. And this, after thinking it, for a little bit. Like I said, it's been 2 days since we went to see it. I think this by far is my favorite X-Men movie. It just has a lot of action. It has a lot of suspense. Going into this, I told my girlfriend, and this is going to be a big spoiler. I honestly thought that if they wanted to do something risky and a game changer, they would kill off Wolverine. That's the biggest thing that you can do for a franchise if you really want to reboot it, is to kill off the main character for the last 7 movies. Well, not so much First Class, but Wolverine's been in every single X-Men movie. So I thought they were going to... And there was a moment where I thought they did, and he sort of technically does. Because at the very end, Magneto stabs him with these big metal rods and then discards him, and he falls into the river in Washington, and or a lake or whatever, and he basically is drowning, and he can't get out because these things pierced his bones. Because in the 1970s, he didn't have his adamantium, he had his bone claws. So I was like, oh my god, they're going to kill Wolverine. And the effect was really cool, because with the metal things coming out of him, it looks like something that happened in X-Men 25, where Magneto ripped out the adamantium, so you have these pieces of metal coming out of Wolverine. And in this one, Magneto was kind of like putting metal back in, so it was a really, really interesting effect. But yeah, really, really well acted movie. Hugh Jackman is always great as Wolverine. He does an amazing job in this one. James McAvoy, great as Professor Xavier. Michael Fassbender, great as Magneto. Jennifer Lawrence was good as Mystique. I really, really liked her as Mystique. I think they showcased her more because she's becoming really popular. She's like the it girl for Hollywood, and rightfully so. She's a good actress, so I guess that's why they showcased Mystique a lot more. But they also bring back the cast, except for Mystique in the original one. They bring back the cast from the original X-Men movies. Halle Berry's back as Storm. The guy that played Iceman is back. They bring back Colossus. They bring back Patrick Stewart as Xavier, and they bring back Ian McKellen as Magneto in the future. So I thought that was really, really cool to see everyone back. And my only complaints, if I really had to nitpick, is that in the future Wolverine has his adamantium claws. Now, in The Wolverine, he loses that. So, The Wolverine, at the end of The Wolverine, you can see Xavier and Magneto meet up with Logan. So that didn't feel like it connected with what we saw before. I mean, again, at the end of The Wolverine, Wolverine does not have his adamantium claws, yet in this one he does. Also, Xavier died in X-Men 3. Now, you could argue that they basically retcon X-Men 3 so it doesn't happen, but Jean Grey and Cyclops are dead, so technically X3 does follow this timeline in this future. So how is Xavier alive when he got disintegrated by Jean Grey? Granted, at the end of X3, it does implicate that Xavier sent his consciousness to another body, but still, number one, he wouldn't have his telepathy because the new body that he went to is not X. It doesn't have the X gene for telepathy. And then number two, it wouldn't look like Xavier. So how did they bring back Professor Xavier? That's what I want to know, and the movie doesn't explain that. But basically, big spoiler, they solve the Sentinel situation, and a new timeline is formed where Jean Grey and Cyclops are still alive. The school is still active. Kelsey Grammer makes a cameo as the Beast. So it appears to be a happy ending for everyone because they brought hope into the world, and the school is still up and running. So that was good. That everything worked out. The only one that remembers everything is Wolverine. He's the only one. But there is two things at the end of the movie that could lead to something even bigger. William Stryker, or a younger William Stryker, is in this movie, and he's helping Oliver Trask. Now, when Magneto threw Wolverine into the river, William Stryker and a military group pull him out, and when they pull him out of the water, his healing factor kind of kicks in, and he's alive. But it's not William Stryker; it's Mystique disguised as William Stryker. So how is that going to play out? I mean, did Mystique go ahead, and is she the one responsible for putting the adamantium in Wolverine? Is she going to do something different and not include Wolverine into the Weapon X program? Is William Stryker still alive? That opens a whole new Pandora's box for what they could do with future X-Men movies. And the other thing is, at the very end of the trailer, you have to wait until the very, very end of the of the credits. There's an Egyptian scene with everyone chanting En Sabah Noor, and then you can see this guy in the Egyptian robes, kind of like building the pyramids with telekinesis. And then the scene kind of pans out, and you can see 4 horsemen, and then this white guy with blue lips. Not a lot of people in the theater reacted to it, but the big hardcore fans like myself did, and they knew that was Apocalypse. Even it's already been said that if this movie does well, they're gonna bring back Bryan Singer and the crew to work on the next movie, which will feature Apocalypse. So that's gonna be interesting how they do that. I thought that this movie could go one of two ways, where they kill Xavier or Wolverine, and that brings about the Age of Apocalypse. I would have loved if they'd made an Age of Apocalypse movie. But Xavier and Wolverine are okay. What they could still do is that Apocalypse, because Wolverine changed so much, people found out about mutants in the 70s. So if Apocalypse sees this, he could try to attack in the 70s, and that could bring about the Age of Apocalypse, because there's not that many mutants in that time period. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do with the next X-Men movie and how Apocalypse factors in on this. But this movie got me excited for future X-Men movies. I will watch an X-Men movie either way, but this movie got me excited for what they might do if they keep Bryan Singer and they keep the cast. What the next X-Men movie could entail. But this movie is freaking good from start to finish. It's amazing. It has some really disturbing deaths, because in the future these Phalanx Sentinels kill off all the future X-Men. I mean, everyone gets killed, and in really gruesome ways. I was like, these are characters that I've seen for a bunch of years in the movies, and to see them taken out the ways that they were taken out was a really hard watch. But everything gets, of course, reset, and they're okay. But still, really, really disturbing deaths in this movie. But yeah, highly recommend this movie. All 4 movies I would recommend: Captain America, Spider-Man, Godzilla, and X-Men: Days of Future Past. And I hope they make a buttload of money and they keep making more superhero comic book movies, because I freaking love comic book movies. They started off kind of crappy. Rare exception was the Blade movies and I think since Blade and then the X-Men movies, comic book movies have gotten leaps and bounds way better. And this year, every comic book movie that I've seen has been amazing. Has been really, really good. And I hope that trend continues. I hope they don't get too cocky with what they've done and then bring everything falling down again. So yeah, really, really looking to the future. Guardians of the Galaxy, I'm hoping is as amazing as the trailer makes it look, and the rest of the movies that are going to come out this year. But yeah, I just wanted to, for this last half hour, just wanted to give my thoughts on those 4 movies. Highly recommend them. Definitely go watch them. Support these movies so they can keep making more quality movies, because I know a lot of people say it, but you really do pay with your wallet. If you support good movies, more good movies are going to get made. If you support crap, you're going to get more crap. So yeah, definitely do that and support these 4 movies, because they are really good. Even though they do have some issues that I wasn't happy with. They're still enjoyable, and the minute they come out on home video, I'm gonna buy them and I'm gonna watch them again, and I'm gonna watch the audio commentaries, and I'm gonna watch the behind the scenes shit, because they were really, really good movies. But yeah, those were my 2 cents on those 4 movies. Like always, thank you so much for anyone that watches, or in this case hears one of my videos. If you liked it, leave a comment, let me know how you like this new format, or if you still prefer seeing me in front of the camera. But until I see you all again, this is Vargas XX78.